Diana Banister, Executive Director of Citizens for the Republic, joins us this morning. Good morning, Diane.
Good morning, Brian. How are you doing?
Grateful to have you with us today. We heard a lot of really pushback after the CNBC debate. Apparently, the candidates who are lined up there on that stage not really pleased with the way that was carried out. So the question is, what can change, what should change, and who is responsible for making the change? What do you think?
Well, apparently the all the campaigns got together and talked about coming up with a plan and taking over the process, and that collapsed last night. So it sounds like it's going to go back to the RNC, and people are going to defer to them. The problem is that there is a whole slew of alternative media outlets that could be doing these debates. When you put it in the hands of people who are not even on your same side, but are trying to actually make you look bad on television, then you have a serious problem. And unfortunately, that's what these last three debates have been. We've seen, I consider it a reality TV show, because they're trying to get ratings. That's their bottom line. They want ratings. So what are they going to do to create ratings? They're going to make it chaotic. They're going to make the candidates look bad. They're going to have gotcha questions. They're going to make things go in their direction, not in necessarily the direction that the candidates want, first of all. But secondly, this is doing a disservice to the American people,
yes,
who have to vote next year, who have to make a educated decision about who the next president of the United States should be. And unfortunately, these debates have dissolved into something that is not that.
I'm so glad you say that. These debates are acting like we're voting for prom king and prom queen. It's not about looks. It's about the substance. And I've been so annoyed with all the straw men and all the he says, she says, all that. I'm like, what are we, 9? I mean, come on, people. I want to know the substance of what the candidates stand for, and I want to know them on the main issues. And I don't know how we can have that if you're going to go to quote, journalists who fundamentally either don't understand what you stand for or purposefully are setting up straw men to create your message in a way that what it really isn't. So I would like to see some change, and I'm hoping the candidates and the party can get it together so that we can have some honest debate and show respect for the office of the presidency.
You're absolutely right, Gloria. And interestingly, yesterday on MSNBC's Morning Joe, he actually got some liberal media guys to admit that there is bias in the media, and that these things are not going, in the direction that Republicans or conservatives would like it to go in. So there is at least a look at it now, and a understanding that maybe these aren't the appropriate questions. There was no foreign policy question. We're in a terrible state around the world, and there's been very little foreign policy discussed. Economic issues, very little discussed. That's what they thought the CNBC debate was going to be about, and it turned out to be fantasy football and gotcha questions, trying to get one candidate to complain about the other. It's been very, very disconcerting for most Americans.
Yeah, it's scary to think that we're going to choose the next president of the United States by how glib they can be on stage or how they can outdo the other. Yes. I know that this has been coming for some time because we've had debates. I remember the Nixon-Kennedy debate. That shows how old I am. But certainly John Kennedy outdid Richard Nixon in that debate to become the next president. But it's really gotten out of hand, don't you think?
It really has, and like I said, they are really in it for ratings. When you see how many ratings Fox got in the first debate, CNN, their best night ever. This is what they've turned it into, and unfortunately, with Donald Trump in the race, it really is reality television for most of them, because they're trying to make it something that it's not. This is a very serious election. This is a very serious discussion we're having about issues, or we should be having, and unfortunately the networks have not gone along with it. Now what the RNC is going to do about it, they're trying to get back into the mix and make these decisions. But why don't we have someone like Brian Patrick, or like Rush Limbaugh, or Sean Hannity, or someone else who has a different point of view up on the stage? Last week in that CNBC debate, Larry Kudlow, who is a conservative, who works for the network, should have been on that stage asking those questions. Why are these not happening? And so I hope with all this sunlight now on the process that will be turned around and we will have better debates in the future.
What about us as voters? How can we look at this and be more proactive again in terms of, really rejecting this kind of treatment and looking at the candidates from a different angle?
Yes, I would suggest that everyone filter out what is being said on television day in and day out. Because, unfortunately, like I said, they are trying to get ratings. They are trying to do what they do to be successful, right? They're not actually looking out for the American people or the voters or even the country in some respects. What I would suggest is people go to debate or go to events if they can with the candidates. A lot of people are in primary states or the candidates are there. Go to their website. There's lots of videos on the website if you prefer videos. Read their websites, read what the candidates are all about, read their positions on issues, and then, really, really listen to talk radio, listen to other venues, not just the television and the national news media, who don't always have our best interests at heart.
Well, I would say, Diane, one thing I've seen, besides people booing in the audience, there's been a lot of pressure on social media, Facebook, Twitter and whatnot, calling out CNBC, calling out those reporters, saying this is utter garbage. And I think that's helpful to put that kind of pressure, saying we see what you're doing and we're not going to take it.
Yep.
So
I refuse to watch it too. That always hurts the bottom line. Diane Banister with Citizens for the Republic joining us this morning. Diane, we appreciate you and we hope that you'll come back and join us again.
Thank you so much. Take care, everyone.
All right.